Hello everyone, my name is TenebrificEnigma, and welcome back to Lake of Voices. We're continuing from where we left off, where we stepped onto the dock and into the danger zone. We fall into line. With the guide leading the way, Margaret stays close to him, and I behind her, making sure she doesn't slip on the slick, wet wood. But Melee brings up the rear. Each of us hold our lanterns in front of us, but it does little good. The fog is thick and nigh impenetrable, consuming the light as if hungry for it. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there the whispering wind, nor the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's just our own mismatched footsteps and the sound of my quickened breathing. My eyes drift back to the lake, and against my better judgment, it's no wonder there's not even the sound of water. With how still the surface is, it seems almost sturdy, with the sheen of a black marble floor. I've heard rumors the water of Sinaloa is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water. That just the weight of its oppressive cling is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just below the surface, or at least I think it does. I turn my gaze to Margaret's back. It's better to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
Okay. The guide is looking over his shoulder, addressing Margaret.
I'm sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Oh, wow. Margaret's shoulders rise, and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
This would be a terrifying job to have. He ignores her gratitude.
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there. If there's anything at all, it'll only be Nixi trying to set you on edge.
I'm kind of scared.
Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
I don't have a name.
Aw. He's facing the front again, his voice as expressionless as before. I've no way of guessing how he feels as he says this. That's sad. Unless he chose... it still seems kind of sad.
Oh.
It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I wanted to say, so changing the subject is not difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Margaret shrugs noncommittally.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
She hesitates, then looks tentatively over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
You're welcome.
Bemele and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
Hopefully. Admire her resilience. It's comforting to know that everyone here is so confident in their abilities. Not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. I'm not sure if that is fortunate or unfortunate. Believing yourself to be secure doesn't mean that you are. Very true. As the conversation lulls, a new voice breaks through. It's the whispering noise again. It's the chatter of inhuman voices, and this time coming from all around us.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
Okay. The guide is speaking again, except louder, as if to cover the Nixi's voices with his own.
Work to survive at all costs, and hope that everyone around you has enough sense to do the same. That's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
Oh, wow. Okay. Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from behind me.
Groups tend to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
The guy doesn't say anything in response to Bamele's grumbling either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Bamele or whether he just didn't feel the statements made thus far are worthy of addressing. I have a feeling it's the latter. I would agree. You go around a large bend in the bridge, part of it forking off to another way. Wonder how the guide knows which one of these essentially identical paths is correct, when something in the corner of my eye catches my attention.
I believe I saw something over there.
Keep walking. No need to worry.
Oh, that's scary. This is a horror game, in case y'all are wondering. The guide's voice is calm and level. I decide against pressing the issue, not wanting to set everyone even more on edge.
What did he say?
Perhaps not wanting the conversation to be caught by the guide, he softly speaks, though I can't quite hear him because of it. I take my eyes off Margaret to explain it to Bamele and stop dead in my tracks. Only one word is able to escape me in my stunned state. Oh my god. So creepy.
Behind.
Behind Bamele stands a figure, looming in the darkness. Seeing my face, Bamele grabs the hilt of his sword and whips around and staggers swiftly backwards. Several meters away, a crooked, twisted, black figure hobbles its way towards us. Some kind of liquid drips off its head, curling around the edges of its face. It almost looks like it's crying. Bamele backs up. He's standing beside me. The figure continues its slow advance, head jerking from one angle to another. That sounds very creepy.
What on earth?
It's one of them.
Yes, Nixi that stumble across the bridges looking for opportunities.
Oh. The guide is standing next to us. I didn't even notice him approach.
The ones that can make it out of the water are generally referred to as prowlers.
Okay.
I had no idea things like that were out here. Is that what Kika saw down the other path?
Chill. The guide says nothing, instead returning to the front of the party. Margaret watches him pass. Her frustration morphs into nervous optimism when something seems to come into her mind.
Well, Nixi aren't slowed down much by swords, but at least the light keeps them away, right?
Margaret's hand grips her face tight. Desperation bleeds into her voice. I bite the inside of my lip.
Direct light will force it to return to the lake. However, it'll try to drag the light, or you, down with it before it goes.
Oh, that's scary. Instinctively, I reach for the hilt of my sword, despite the fact it would do little to protect me. The prowler is getting closer, jerking forward, stopping, then resuming its slow advance.
Okay, does anyone have a light we can leave here? That way it won't follow us.
Only matches.
Okay. Bamele spits. He's the one bringing up the rear, so he's the most likely to be in danger if it keeps following. However, the guide moves forward.
Don't forget it's there, don't let your guard down, and don't get left behind.
Good
What?
advice.
How am I supposed to keep walking with this thing at my heels? You said it wants to attack.
Don't give it the chance.
That's a good advice. It's slow. Bamele sputters in anger. The guide summarily ignores him. I solidly grab hold of Bamele's upper arm.
Here, I'll lead you like this, and you can keep your focus solely on the prowler. Make sure it doesn't get too close.
Bamele eyes the guide with unresolved hostility, but allows himself to softly sigh in relief. He gazes at me with fondness.
At least there's someone I can count on.
Despite the fact I'm going against his advice, the guide says nothing more. It's clear now he doesn't give a damn what we end up doing. Some part of me is glad for that. I want to help everyone make it through, and it would be worse to have to persuade the guide every time help was necessary.
Kika, thank you.
Bamele places a gentle hand on my shoulder. Bamele's face hardens in return. I'm trying to stay in character, but he moves his free arm down. I fully link his arm with mine, and now properly settled, look forward. Plus we have to stay serious on this. Margaret is following the guide with some reluctance, turning back every so often to check upon us. I waved my lantern to signal we were catching up. Margaret turns her head to the front and quickens her pace. With the tug on Bamele, we start to follow them. The four of us continue cautiously over the bridge, only this time, the wet, squishing footsteps of the prowler join the sound of our own. The prowler walks without a set pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It takes long steps, then short ones. At times, it stops walking entirely. Does it hurt to be out of the water like this, or is it trying to be difficult to read? Suddenly, the whispering in the lake grows louder. I steel myself, trying not to let it get to me. The most important thing in a situation like this is to remain calm. I can't lose my head. Then all at once, I notice the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Bemele, they're stopping.
Bamele slows down as I do. As we near Margaret's back, she says with something akin to distress,
There's another one.
I tug on Bamele and he understands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand.
Don't get any closer.
Okay. Just over his shoulder, I see another prowler stumbling towards us, white liquid dripping from his eyes. The guide's hand turns over in the air, palm up.
Give me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Okay. Margaret extends her own with trembling hands when Bamele speaks instead, his back still
If
turned.
you have to take someone's, take mine.
Yes, an extra light won't do us much good when we're standing this close together.
Margaret takes Bamele's lantern from him, guarded relief displayed on her features.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Or at least Bamele should say that. She hands the lantern to the guide, who grips it tightly, knuckles growing pale.
Stay here. I can't throw it too far, or the light will blow out before it reaches the Nix.
Okay. He steps closer to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears, the prowler starts to back away. Is it only the approaching light that makes it retreat, or are they afraid of him? The guide is far enough away from us that the fog is partially obscuring him, hiding his movements. The voices from the lake grow louder and louder. Water suddenly begins to splash across the lake in the distance and onto the edges of the bridge. They want him to mess up. I don't notice how tense I am until Bamele eases my grasp on his arm. Then suddenly, the guy takes multiple long and fast strides forward, throws the lantern, and jumps backwards to regain the lost distance. Shh. There's a sharp hiss, then a deep splash, and the voices of the Nixi grow quieter, not silent, but quieter. A sigh escapes me, and the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going before it comes back.
Probably a good plan. I glance at Bamele and realize he too is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. first prowler is still there. It's right there. I shift around, pulling Bamele behind me. The prowler lunges after him, barely missing Bamele, but striking my lantern instead. The fire goes out, and the two of us are plunged into an unearthly darkness. Then, a slick splash, and I realize the Nix has retreated into the water. Somehow, Bamele and I are still standing. We're still here.
Kika, thank you.
You're welcome. Are you okay? I can't respond. Something cold, wet, and slimy has grabbed my ankle. Get off! I kick my leg out as fast as I can, and the Nix's hold slips. I can't pull with the momentum I'm gaining against it. Margaret rushes to my side, her lantern hanging out toward the Nix. Light brushes its face, and we see it for an instant, its eyes wide, then it slides back into the smooth surface of the water. Bamele grabs Margaret and I both, helping us towards the center of the bridge and cussing under his breath.
I only looked away for 1 second.
Ooh, that was kind of scary. So yeah, choices, some of them are timed, like it was saying.
It's fine, Bamele. We're all fine.
Are you actually alright?
I think so. Margaret cocks her head down, examining my ankle. There's nothing but a wet smudge around my trousers.
I am fine.
Oh man. I say that, though I don't actually want to let go of Bamele. I need to, in order to relight our lantern and provide us actual safety. But I feel a strong desire not to be alone in this moment. I shake my head roughly and let go of him, relighting the lantern as fast as I am able.
Kika, thank you. Again. You saved my life. I won't let this happen again.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. It would be good for all of us to pay more attention.
Scary. Margaret nods solemnly. Suddenly, it seems we're all on the same side. It isn't only Bamele and I. She is with us in more than simply presence. The guide's voice, as cold as the monster's grasp, ends my train of thought.
We lost the lantern I threw. The Nix grabbed it after the light went out.
Okay. Margaret makes a noise. I glance over, wondering whether she's upset, but there's a small smile on her face instead.
It's better than them taking anything else.
True. A nervous laugh bubbles up out of me, and just as quickly it stops. Bamele chuckles in response, and our collective tension eases up, the adrenaline draining from our bodies.
We need to keep walking.
Okay. The guide starts down the bridge again, and we join him. I try to clamp down on the relief, the ease that wants to flood my head. It's not over. The prowler is gone, but so is Bamele's lantern.
You can stay near me, Bamele, since your lantern is lost.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Margaret goes on ahead of us. Bamele stays by my side as I keep at the end of the line. A breath of release from Margaret and Bamele is quickly swallowed by the somber atmosphere of Sinlos as well, replaced by the gravity of the near-death experience. Never mind celebrating his survival, something like that shouldn't have happened in the first place. The memory of prowlers reaching out towards us appears each time I close my eyes.
Why does it look like something's dripping down their faces?
That's a good question. The prowlers are on Margaret's mind too. Looking at her pained expression, it is as though the moment of relief never existed at all.
I'm not sure.
Me neither. Something's wrong with them, though.
Okay, that's a
They live in water. Air shouldn't be good for the things, but they want to drown humans so much they're willing to drag themselves around on land? It's not right.
Okay. Of course it isn't. They're monsters. They likely do not even understand the concept of right and wrong. I doubt that. They probably something probably happened.
Well, I don't disagree that there's something very wrong about them. I truly hope that's the last we'll see of the Prowlers.
That'd be very nice, because that was scary. Something comes to her mind, causing Margaret to end her part of the conversation early.
Since you two have to share a light, wouldn't it be safer to be in the middle?
Ooh. Margaret stops and waits for Bamele and I to reach her position.
That way, you'll catch the edges of my light and the guides, and it won't be so dangerous if Bamele loses his position momentarily.
That's a very kind offer, Margaret.
Bamele's surprise is so apparent, I want to cover his face with my hands to stop him from insulting her. She merely smirks. I think Margaret may be surprised with herself, too. Bamele returns to his usual surety.
As thoughtful as it is, I, at least, am fine with bringing up the rear. I'm used to keeping watch for monsters, and since there are two of us, I can pay attention to the back while Kika focuses ahead.
She's trying to be nice, boy.
It's not my light, though, so I shouldn't be the one to decide what she should do with it.
Okay. Margaret and Bamele turn to look at me in unison. Seems like it's my decision. Neither of them are wrong. As for me, my goal is to protect everyone. I can't very well do that with Margaret following behind us. Being stuck in the middle of the group could also be dangerous depending on what circumstances we come across. Getting pincered by the enemy would be an almost sure death, no matter how experienced Bamele and I are. I just don't know what to expect from this bridge, and that makes things so much more difficult. Margaret stands slightly off to the side to let us pass, careful not to get too close to the water's edge. Letting her do that since it'll help her feel better, and our current plan did not work since we almost died. But I'm gonna keep a close eye on saving Margaret, because I don't want her to die.
Thank you kindly, Margaret.
Yeah, be nice. I nod at her, and Bamele and I position ourselves a few feet away from the guide, and in no time we fall into step in our new positions. What?
So, I don't want to sound like a child, but how much longer until we arrive at the halfway point?
Margaret chuckles, reflecting the amusement I don't want to vocalize.
We still have some ways to go.
Damn.
I suppress my laughter yet again at his pouting response. The gloom we've been under dissipates slightly, like a flickering light through the fog.